Before the spray can, before the concrete wall, there was the human impulse to leave a mark, to say, I was here. Deep inside a prehistoric cave, the flickering torchlight reveals ancient handprints stenciled in ochre on the stone walls. This fundamental desire connects the earliest artists of Lascaux to the anonymous tagger in a modern subway tunnel. It's a primal scream for recognition, a territorial claim, a story etched onto the public face of the world. The word itself, graffiti, whispers of this ancient lineage, derived from the Italian sgraffito, meaning to scratch. It speaks to the act of incising one design onto another, a fitting metaphor for how this art form has carved its identity into the rigid surfaces of our urban environments. But the leap from a scratched name on a Roman ruin to the vibrant, explosive art form we know today is a story forged in the crucible of 20th century urban decay and youthful rebellion. It's a story that starts not in a gallery, but on the gritty, neglected walls of Philadelphia and the rumbling steel canvases of New York City. In the late 1960s, something began to stir. In Philadelphia, a high school student named Daryl McRae started scrawling his nickname Cornbread all over the city to get the attention of a girl. He tagged police cars, the walls of the youth detention center he was in, and even, famously, an elephant at the Philadelphia Zoo. He wasn't the first to write his name on a wall, but he did it with a relentless, citywide ambition that was entirely new. He became a media sensation, a local legend. Simultaneously, in New York City, a quiet kid from Washington Heights named Demetrius, a bike messenger, began writing his tag, Talkie183, wherever his job took him. His tag, his name and his street number, appeared across all 5 boroughs. When the New York Times ran an article on him in 1971, the floodgates opened. Suddenly, thousands of kids, feeling invisible in a city that was crumbling around them, saw a way to become famous. A teenager in 70s attire carefully writes Talkie183 with a marker on a subway station wall. The age of modern graffiti had begun. The New York City subway system became the movement's lifeblood. In an era of fiscal crisis and municipal neglect, the trains were a perfect medium. They were ubiquitous, they were mobile, and they were largely unsupervised. They were rolling galleries that carried a writer's name from the Bronx to Brooklyn, ensuring fame across the entire urban landscape. This gave birth to a complex and vibrant subculture with its own language, ethics, and artistic hierarchy. It started with the simple tag, a stylized signature. Then came the throw-up, larger, bubble-style letters often outlined in one color and filled with another, designed for speed and repetition. But the ultimate goal was the piece, short for masterpiece. These were large, intricate, multicolored works of art, bursting with complex lettering, characters, and backgrounds. To bomb a train meant to cover it completely. A burner was a piece so hot, so brilliant, it couldn't be ignored. The pinnacle was the whole car, a single breathtaking mural that covered an entire subway car, from end to end, window to window. This wasn't just mindless scribbling, it was a fierce competition for style, for fame, for respect. Writers formed crews, battling for territory and recognition. They risked arrest, injury, and even death, navigating treacherous train yards in the dead of night, all for the chance to get up. This was the voice of a generation of marginalized youth, predominantly Black and Latino, who were given no other platform. In the dead of night, a group of young graffiti artists work frantically, spray painting a massive, colorful piece on the side of a subway car. As hip-hop culture was bubbling up in the Bronx, with its own pillars of DJing, MCing, and b-boying, graffiti became its visual counterpart. It was raw, energetic, and unapologetically public. It was an art of the people, by the people, for the people, whether they wanted to see it or not. The phenomenon couldn't be contained. The global spread was ignited by key cultural documents. The 1983 documentary was a watershed moment, broadcasting the vibrant culture of the New York writers to the entire world. It showed their faces, told their stories, and showcased their incredible art in motion. Similarly, the photo book by Martha Cooper and Henry Chalfant became the Bible for aspiring writers from London to Sao Paulo to Tokyo. It was a visual dictionary of style that kids could study, copy, and evolve. Suddenly, the unique letter forms and wild-style aesthetics born in the Bronx were appearing on trains in Amsterdam and walls in Melbourne. The movement had gone global, adapting to local cultures while retaining its core identity of rebellion and self-expression. It fundamentally challenged the very notion of public space. Who owns a wall? Who has the right to communicate in the visual landscape of a city? Is an unsanctioned mural a gift or a crime? This initial explosion of creativity and the questions it posed set the stage for a dramatic evolution, transforming graffiti from a subcultural phenomenon into a powerful force that would begin to reshape the very cities it was born from. The journey from the illicit, nocturnal world of subway bombing to the sun-drenched, celebrated unveiling of a commissioned 40-foot mural represents a monumental shift. The raw, rebellious energy that defined graffiti's early days began to morph and evolve. While the taggers and bombers never disappeared, a new movement, often called street art, emerged alongside it. This new wave saw artists, some formally trained and some not, using the city as their canvas for more pictorial, figurative, and often politically charged works. And as this happened, something incredible and deeply complicated began to occur. City planners, developers, and community leaders started to notice the power of this art. They saw that a splash of color on a forgotten wall could do more than just cover blight. It could be a catalyst for profound urban transformation. This is where the narrative splits, creating a tale of two cities, one of vibrant renewal and community pride, and another of displacement and cultural commodification. On one hand, street art has become one of the most effective tools for urban revitalization in the modern world. Take the Wynwood neighborhood in Miami. In the early 2000s, it was a desolate collection of abandoned warehouses and industrial decay. Then, visionary developer Tony Goldman, along with artists, began a project to transform the area's windowless walls into a massive outdoor art gallery. The result was Wynwood Walls, a curated museum of the streets that attracted world-renowned artists. The effect was seismic. A stunning time-lapse shows the Wynwood neighborhood transforming from derelict warehouses into a vibrant, art-filled district bustling with tourists. Tourism exploded. Cafes, boutiques, and galleries flooded the area. A place that was once a no-go zone became one of Miami's hottest destinations, generating immense economic activity and putting the city on the global art map. Similarly, in Berlin, the East Side Gallery stands as a powerful testament to art's transformative power. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, artists from around the world flocked to paint a remaining stretch, turning a symbol of oppression into a monumental tribute to freedom and reunification. It is now a protected landmark and one of Germany's most popular attractions, preserving history while revitalizing the surrounding area. This power isn't just for major Western cities. In the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, projects by artists like JR and the duo Haas and Hahn have brought color and dignity to communities often defined by poverty and violence. The Favela Painting Project, for instance, didn't just paint buildings. It trained and employed local residents, fostering a sense of ownership and pride. The vibrant, cascading colors painted across the hillside homes became an international symbol of hope and resilience, changing perceptions and attracting positive attention. In all these cases, street art acted as a powerful agent of change. It reclaimed neglected spaces, fostered civic engagement, celebrated local identity, and sparked tangible economic growth. It proved that art could be a foundational pillar of city planning, a way to breathe life, soul, and commerce back into the forgotten corners of the urban world. However, this is only half the story. There is a darker, more complex side to this urban renewal, a phenomenon often referred to as the double-edged sword of street art-led gentrification. The very same process that makes a neighborhood vibrant and desirable can often lead to the displacement of the original long-term residents who gave the area its character in the first place. It's a tragically predictable cycle. Artists seeking cheap rent and large spaces move into working-class or industrial neighborhoods. Their presence, the murals, the galleries, the creative energy, makes the area cool and edgy. This newfound cultural capital acts like a beacon for real estate developers and speculators. A trendy coffee shop with minimalist decor opens next to a gritty, old-school bodega on a gentrifying street. New, expensive condo developments are built. Rents skyrocket. The original residents, and often the artists who started the transformation, are priced out, forced to move. The authentic culture that made the neighborhood special is sanitized, commercialized, and sold back to a wealthier demographic. Bushwick, Brooklyn, is a textbook example. The Bushwick Collective, a massive outdoor gallery, helped transform the neighborhood from a symbol of urban decay into a global street art destination. But this fame came at a cost. Rents have soared, and the area has seen a dramatic demographic shift, displacing many from the predominantly Latino community that had been there for generations. The art that was meant to beautify the neighborhood for its residents inadvertently became a marketing tool for its gentrification. This process is sometimes called art washing, where the aesthetic of street art is used to mask the aggressive displacement happening behind the scenes. It raises deeply uncomfortable questions. Is the art for the community, or is the community just a temporary backdrop for the art? Who truly benefits from this revitalization? The lines become incredibly blurred. The splash of color that once signified rebellion and community voice can, over time, become a symbol of exclusion. This inherent tension reveals that street art's impact is never simple. It is a powerful, unpredictable force that can both build and break the communities it touches. The profound socio-economic impact of street art forces us to confront the fundamental question that has shadowed the movement since the first tag appeared on a subway car. Is it art or is it vandalism? This isn't a simple binary. It's a sprawling, passionate debate that plays out in city halls, courtrooms, and on the very walls themselves. The answer often depends entirely on your perspective. For a property owner who has to pay thousands to remove an unwanted tag from their building, it is unequivocally vandalism. It's a violation of property rights, a costly nuisance, often associated with urban blight and a breakdown of social order. Municipalities spend billions of dollars globally on graffiti abatement, deploying specialized task forces and chemical solvents in a constant war against the spray can. From this viewpoint, the intent of the artist is irrelevant. The act is one of destruction and defacement. A city worker in uniform uses a high-pressure hose to blast away a colorful graffiti tag from a brick wall. But for the artist, and for millions who admire their work, it is one of the purest forms of public expression. It is art that escapes the elitist confines of the gallery, accessible to everyone, regardless of wealth or status. It can be a powerful tool for political dissent, a way to speak truth to power in the most visible way imaginable. Think of the iconic murals on the Palestinian West Bank barrier or the satirical, anti-authoritarian stencils of Banksy. This art forces a conversation. It beautifies monotonous concrete landscapes, transforming a grim underpass into a place of wonder. It gives a voice to the voiceless, allowing marginalized individuals to stake a claim in their environment and shout their existence to the world. From this perspective, prioritizing a sterile, privately owned wall over human expression is a sign of a society that values property more than people. The act is one of creation, not destruction. This complex conflict has inevitably moved from the streets to the courtroom, creating fascinating legal precedents. The most significant case in recent history is the saga of 5 Points in Queens, New York. For 2 decades, 5 Points was a global mecca for aerosol art. The owner of the warehouse complex, Jerry Wolkoff, allowed artists from around the world to paint its walls, turning it into a vibrant, living museum. But in 2013, Wolkoff decided to demolish the buildings to build luxury condominiums. Despite massive public outcry, he had the murals whitewashed overnight, erasing decades of irreplaceable art in a single act. The artists, however, fought back. They sued Wolkoff under the Visual Artists' Rights Act, or VARA, a federal law that protects artists from the destruction of their work if it is of recognized stature. In a landmark 2018 ruling, a judge agreed, stating that the murals were indeed works of recognized stature and that Wolkoff had broken the law by destroying them without proper notice. A dramatic shot of the Five Points warehouse complex, half of it stark white where the art has been painted over, the other half still covered in vibrant graffiti. The court ordered him to pay $6.7 million in damages to the artists. This case was a seismic victory, legally affirming that aerosol art, even if temporary and on someone else's property, could be considered fine art worthy of federal protection. As the art form gains legal and cultural legitimacy, another shift is occurring. It's co-option by the very institutions it once rebelled against. Corporations and municipalities now regularly commission street artists to create murals for advertising campaigns and civic branding. What was once an anti-establishment roar is now a carefully curated whisper, approved by committees and designed to be palatable and marketable. This raises a new set of questions. Is it still street art if it's sanctioned? Does the rebellious spirit die when an artist is handed a corporate check? Artists like Banksy have built a career on satirizing this very paradox, creating anti-capitalist art that sells for millions at auction, forcing us to question the nature of authenticity in a commercialized world. This brings us to the future. As cities evolve, so too will the art on their walls. Technology is opening up entirely new canvases. A massive, intricate digital animation is projected onto the facade of a historic building at night, the light art flowing and changing. Projection mapping, or graffiti lighting, allows artists to create stunning, ephemeral murals of light without leaving a single drop of paint. Augmented reality is another frontier, where artists can create digital sculptures and murals that are anchored to a physical location but are only visible through a smartphone screen. This creates a hidden layer of art all around us, one that bypasses property laws entirely. Social media has also become a crucial part of the ecosystem, allowing ephemeral works, those that are quickly painted over or washed away, to live on forever online, reaching a global audience in an instant. The dialogue between the city and the artist is far from over. It will continue to be a messy, beautiful, and vital conversation about who we are, what we value, and who gets to write the story of our shared urban spaces. It is a revolution, constantly repainting itself right before our very eyes.